Hey guys, welcome back to the shack. Tonight I'm going to be reviewing a machine that has a very small footprint. It is a 10-watt diode laser, but it's not your typical diode laser. The video tonight is going to be the ComMarker Q1, which is a 10-watt diode, 455 nanometers, and it's a Galvo. So it's a bit of a unique machine. There's several other similar machines on the market. You may also be familiar with ComMarker from the channel here because I do have the ComMarker B4, the fiber laser that I use on metal products and stuff like that. ComMarker reached out to me, wanted to know if I wanted to try out their Galvo diode, and since I had never tried one, I figured, what the heck. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so for those of you that aren't familiar with what a Galvo is, basically where a diode laser typically would run on a frame and it pulls a module through the workspace, the laser firing directly down onto the material. The way the Galvo works is in the back of the machine, there is a laser similar to what's on most machines. It fires into a mirror. The mirror sits there, kind of, moves accordingly to reflect the diode onto the material. Thus, a lot of machines see a speed increase, as well as you can have, a better dot size with a lot of the Galvos on the market. So just in case you didn't know exactly what a Galvo was, that's the difference. You still have to focus the machine. You do have a lot more standoff with a Galvo than you do with a diode as far as the spacing between the material and the lens. But you have to, on this machine, there's a red dot and a blue dot, and you move the machine up and down with the buttons until the two dots touch and it's focused. So that gives you an idea of how the machine works. I want to have some video to kind of show you also built into this review. But this is basically your workspace, guys. So if you're looking for a big workspace, this isn't your machine. This machine has a footprint, literally like 9 inches by maybe like 16, and that's giving a little extra room for where the cabling comes out of the back. It's very small, very portable, not very heavy. So if you are one of those folks that want a small machine to do marking on small items, then this may be something you want to look at. If you're wanting to cut out large things and make boxes, this machine is not for you. They do say, however, that you can cut with the machine. And I did some testing, guys, and I'm going to show you the results from that testing and kind of give you my ideas of what the machine will do. Now, normally I would do the unboxing and everything in the beginning of the video, but in case you're kind of on the fence if this is something you're interested in or not, I'm going to show you what it's capable of, and then we'll put the unboxing and the assembly, which is minimal, we'll put that at the end of the video. So let's look at the results. All right, so I tested the machine on several different materials, wood, some coated metal, a little bit of painted wood, as well as slate. Now, I will say, the machine does have a really good detail, really fine detail to it. Did a good job with the slate. Got that kind of a gold tint to it, and this has not been treated before or after the engrave. And I know, guys, I'm on the bottom, but I try to recycle my test materials when I can. So, but it done a good job on the slate. Now, these squares that I'm showing you guys, these are some squares I cut out, and they're basically the same size as the work area of the machine, if that gives you an idea. This was my little test engrave that I tried, and with this machine, you do not have an air assist because it's a Galvo, so you have to be careful not to go too slow. If you go too slow, you will see that little candle flame coming from the diode, or from where the laser is interacting with the material. I did see that a lot, and I've got a video I'm going to drop in here to kind of show you, but there was no danger because the machine is way above where it is, so it's not that big of a deal. But if those type of things scare you, be prepared. One of the things with the Galvo, the way that it works, the shape of the lens and everything, is a lot of times in the work area you'll have dead spots, and that's spots to where the laser is less effective or either just not effective at all. And with this machine, it performed pretty well. All but the top corners, and I did the test several times just to make sure. So that's one of my tests, and I did the same test again and the same result. So the top left and top right corners, the lasers kind of loses effectiveness in those areas. So just because the machine tells you that the work area is a certain size, you may want to check this before you start putting any design things up in there, and just make sure how your machine is going to react when you put them up there that high. Now, they told me the machine would cut, and it will, okay? It's a 10-watt diode, which I've cut stuff with a 10-watt diode plenty of times, but never with a Galvo. Did learn that one of the big drawbacks to having a Galvo, no air assist. So not going too slow is important, because if you go too slow, you'll start burning the wood and causing a lot of unnecessary charring. So here's some cuts that I did with the machine on some 3mm material. I played around with the settings, played around with the focus, and it worked really well. One trick that you can do is, if you have an air assist pump or if you have a small fan, you can direct a little wind across it and keep the flames from coming up as much. But in the process, guys, you're going to blow smoke everywhere. The machine is not enclosed. You have to use a smoke collector, or either just do it outside. So be aware of that also. You'll see the machine here shortly, but it doesn't have an enclosure. This is the shield it comes with. It's like a little L-shaped shield. And if the door is that way, you can use it to kind of protect other people. But guys, wear your glasses, especially with this little guy here. Wear your glasses. So cutting, you can do. It's set in there, you can cut thicker material, but guys, keep it down to about an 1/8 or 3mm material. And like I said, start out really high with your settings and work your way down as far as speed goes to try to find that sweet spot where it cuts it, but it's not charred it up too much. My recommendation. Now, because of the bed size, the power of the machine, the type materials, I felt like this machine would be a really good machine for such things as wooden Christmas ornaments, pre-cut coasters, whether they be from slate, whether they be from basswood, or whatever. And so that was kind of where I went to with the machine, because in my shop, those are the small things that, I may do with this machine. Also, it comes with a pedal so that you can batch things out. And that's kind of in line with, say, coasters and stuff like that. Price tags for events, things like that. This machine is more suited, for batching out things than I would say, just trying to be creative at times. It will do both, but the batch capabilities of it is something that a lot of other machines don't have, because of the way the metal table is. You can put the little jig bars in there and crank these things out pretty quick. So there is a basswood. This is a 3mm pre-cut basswood coaster. You can get these things on Amazon, places like that. Done a pretty good job on it. Some of my settings weren't quite as good as they needed to have been, but all in all, it done a good job. The way the Galvo works, it does outline the engrave, makes it easy for alignment, even if you're not using a jig. And that's all I did with these guys. I basically made me a little square for a frame line around the shape of the coaster, and then centered my project on that line. So here's another basswood coaster that I did. And like I said, it does a good job. You can also run crosshatch to give it a little more definition and kind of hide those lines a little bit in the material, but it done a good job. I haven't done anything to these, like I said, as far as coating or anything like that. That's the color of the material. So I also decided to try some of my own materials. And I don't buy a lot of the really expensive materials, so I figure I'll try some of my cheap 3mm Luan and doing an engrave, and done a good job with it as well. The key, guys, is find the right settings. You want to go as fast as you possibly can and still get the burn. So that's the key. These, I went a little slower than I probably should have, but the color turned out nice. This is on some 1/4" Luan that I use. The one thing that I will give this machine is detail is very crisp. It does a good job with the details and the little small parts of a design. It does a really, really good job. And it's relatively fast compared to diodes, because there's no moving parts really. It just kind of zips around and does the job, kind of like what you're used to seeing with fiber lasers. One of the other coasters that I decided to try, because this is a material that doesn't take a whole lot of power and you can run really high speeds, so I felt like this machine was well suited for, and that is cork. It done a really good job on the cork, and as always, high speed has just enough power to have the desired effect, because cork is also flammable and it will flame up on you. I run a little too slow on this side, and it kind of cooked it a little much. So take my word for it, guys. The faster you can move that dot, the better. So another thing that I thought was maybe, especially with this time of the year, it being around Christmas ornaments might be a thing that somebody would want to do. So whether you're in the business of customizing ornaments for people, and maybe you have another machine, or you want to buy pre-cut ornaments or whatever, I took some pre-cut wood ornaments that I cut with another machine, painted them gold, and engraved them, and it done a really good job of that. Everything turned out really well. It did take me a second to figure out exactly what settings made it look good, but I did a couple of them that were painted, and also I did one that the back side of it where it was unpainted. So there you go. Does a really good job. Like I said, detail, it does great detail. I will give it that. The work area is small, but it does do great detail. Now, we talked about cutting earlier. This is some 1/8" basswood, and I'm just gonna give you an idea of the speeds that I ran. That's some 1/8" basswood tags. This is a little thing of like Christmas tags that you could use for this time of the year. This is one of those things that if you have a shop or if you have a store, maybe you want to go for the rustic look and you want to be able to engrave your price tags or whatever, and you just want a machine just to do that, then hey, it does a really good job with those. The text, you can write really small text, still really clear, easy to see. So I think that is where this machine is going to come into play. Is for people who really either want to follow up on projects they've already done with other machines, such as batching out ornaments and stuff, or you know, the smaller things like this. It does work with coated materials. I tried a few things on it. I could never get the settings right for the business cards. I tried the black business cards, guys, and I couldn't get the settings right. I was either going too hot or not hot enough. That could be due to these particular cards. I'm not sure. Swapped over to the orange cards and had a lot better success at getting the desired look. So that's some of the testing that I've done, and we'll move over and I'm going to show you a little bit of how it works. All right, guys, over here at Lightburn, I'm just going to show you a little bit of difference between Galvos and traditional square body diodes. One thing is you will need a Lightburn license for Galvos, and the screen's just a little different. Add some settings and some functionalities to it. Your machine settings, of course, are going to be significantly different on a Galvo than what they are on regular machines. So there's a file that you'll have to download and all that to be able to connect the machine to it. But other than that, all the tools, all the utilities inside Lightburn are exactly the same. All right, another thing that you'll notice in Lightburn that is different is when you go to frame, you've got several different types of frame. The bounds frame just basically does like the square, like what you're used to with most of your diode lasers and so forth. It just puts a square around the outside of the design. Hole will do a circle. Like if it's round, it's kind of like the shoestring or the circle frame on regular diodes. But contour actually takes the blue dot and it draws circles around every design. So I'll try to get you a view of that on the other camera over here so that you can see it. So we're going to run through those. We're going to move the protective cover here out of the way. Throw it down. So let me see if you can see what we're doing. All right, yes. So that's contour. Contour basically traces out the design, the whole design. Okay, hole is going to just do the outer perimeter, but it's going to adhere to the design itself. In this case, it's making a circle. And bounds is going to make a square. So you do have a little more options when it comes to how to frame, and that makes Galvos a little easier to place materials as long as everything is set properly. So I'm going to go over here and adjust this bottle opener that I have here, and I'm going to use the hole framing function. And I'm going to adjust it in order to try to get it centered, and we're going to cut that or burn that right quick. All right, so if I were going to do a bunch of these, guys, I could actually set, it comes with little plastic things that you can put the screws into the bed. That's the reason it's got all those holes in the bed. And I would set up a jig to be able to do a bunch of them. But since we're just going to do this one for demonstration, I'm going to leave that be. I am going to go in here to my settings, and I'm going to change these settings to around, I think I want to do about 60 millimeters a second at 100% power. I'm going to leave the LPI up at about 200. This is coated material, and it's really thick coating. So I'm going to try to knock that off, or at least discolor it best I can. And so that's what we're going to do. And here it goes. You should be able to see this on the other machine. I'm going to put the little barrier back up. And as you can see, without air assist, you get a little bit of that that little candle flame on there, even with the coated metals. Because I'm going kind of slow. The second pass shouldn't be as bad once it burns that coating off of there. And like I said, I've got it doing crosshatch. It should do 2 passes. I'm trying to clean the metal best I can. But like I said, I think these may just be standard steel. I don't know that they're stainless, so I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get it shiny. But without the coating on there, like I said, the flame kind of goes away. But this is metal setting on metal, so there's really not any risk of any fire or anything, as long as you don't put any material on there. But it's only, like I said, the output's only a 10 watt, so it does take a little bit for some of these more stubborn coatings. And one thing about the Galvo license, I don't know if you heard that or not, but you do get an audible tone from the machine if you set that up when it completes. And straight off of the machine, I got a little better color on that one. But we'll go over that more in a minute. I'm gonna clean it up real quick with some rubbing alcohol and a magic eraser. And I think the steel is just the wrong, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a good shine on it. Almost just as fast to run a crosshatch. So I'm gonna change the settings and just play with it a little bit. I'll be using the same setup for framing, and all I'm doing, I'm basically just placing it by hand. And this is one thing that makes Galvos really simple for setup, is being able to use that laser as your indicator. And it moves so fast, guys, that it looks like it's a solid blue light, but it's actually spinning in there to do that. So I'm gonna tweak the settings just a little bit here on the computer. I ran that one at 60 at 100%. I'm gonna change my settings up a little bit. The LPI, I think I can probably go about to 150 on the LPI with that graphic, so that'll make it a little faster. But I'm gonna run this crosshatch, and I'm gonna do 2 passes. It may take a little longer, but I'm gonna try to clean that steel if it's actually stainless. I don't know if those things are stainless or if they're just regular steel, but let's see what happens. So here we go, and off to the races, guys. And as you can see, without air assist, you get a little bit of that little candle flame on there, even with the coated metals. Because I'm going kind of slow. The second pass shouldn't be as bad once it burns that coating off of there. And like I said, I've got it doing crosshatch. It should do 2 passes. I'm trying to clean the metal best I can. But like I said, I think these may just be standard steel. I don't know that they're stainless, so I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get it shiny. But without the coating on there, like I said, the flame kind of goes away. But this is metal sitting on metal, so there's really not any risk of any fire or anything, as long as you don't put any material on there. But it's only, like I said, the output's only a 10 watt, so it does take a little bit for some of these more stubborn coatings. And one thing about the Galvo license, I don't know if you heard that or not, but you do get an audible tone from the machine if you set that up when it completes. And straight off of the machine, I got a little better color on that one, but we'll go over that more in a minute. I'm gonna clean it up real quick with some rubbing alcohol and a magic eraser. All right, guys, so like I showed you, this is the first engrave that we did on this. All right, got decent, but when I did the crosshatch and I run it 2 passes, it looks a lot better. Got some nice color. I could have done a little better on my centering job. That's what happens when you don't set it up for a jig. I probably should have, but you know, this side I did pretty good on, this side not so much. But it will mark coated metals. Like I said, is it gonna be as fast as a fiber? No, but it's not as expensive as a fiber either. So if you're wanting to do small things like pet tags, which I sell a lot of, keychains, pre-cut keychains, the Amazon keychains that I purchase, that I use for my blanks in my shop. A lot of those small things, maybe if you're into making earrings or you're into engraved earrings that you've already made, those small jobs I think is what this machine is best suited for. Like I said, the workspace is going to be a limitation, but guys, the size of this machine, you saw how big it is. It's tiny. So, all right, guys, before we go, I want to show you, since we went through the stubborn material, I'm going to show you an easy, simple material. And this is in real time. This is the cork coaster that I burn. And like I said, it performs well at stuff like this. It's really quick, not a lot of moving parts. And like I said, really compact. You see the size of the machine as opposed to the coaster. But there you go, guys. We'll kind of go through what it takes when you get it out of the box and put it together. All right, guys, so as you can see here, there's not a lot to the machine at all. So this isn't going to take us long. All right, as you can see, there's a few wires right there that you got to connect. You stick the little gantry thing in there. You've got a couple of screws. Make sure when you put that in there that slot you see is facing over the open area above the base. That's where the head's going to mount here in a minute. So trying to fit that cover on there. The cover was a little snug. It needed some stretching to get it on there, but I just want to put that on there to protect the lens during the build so that I don't scratch it or damage it in any way. Those 2 screws, just thumb screws, tighten them up as tight as you can get them with your finger there, and then basically, guys, you mount the bracket here and set that up there and put a couple more thumb screws in the bottom to hold that to the main part of the machine, and you're pretty much done now just for the cabling. So, told you. All right, guys, so I hope the video was helpful. Like I said, ComMarker wanted me to kind of demonstrate the machine to you and kind of show you what it's capable of doing. I know this machine is not going to be for everybody. If you're used to the bigger machines and that's what you're used to, this does have a slightly smaller area of operation. So, but it would make a good accent if you're just wanting to do quick one-offs or batching out things. Like I said, luggage tags, pet tags, those type of things. It can do a good job on those. It doesn't take up a whole lot of room. It's lightweight, easy to transport. So those are some of the strong suits of the machine. The 10-watt diode, guys, it's not exactly a powerhouse, but most of the Galvo blue lasers on the market are a 10 watt. So they're running right there neck to neck with a lot of the other manufacturers of the machine. And like I said, if this is a very specific machine, and if it's something that you think it would benefit you, then here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night for the video. I hope this was helpful. And until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.